Come with me to look through the Haunted Mansion Materialize, celebrating the art of the Haunted Mansion for its 50th anniversary exhibit. It's inside the Disney Gallery, which is in the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln lobby on Main Street, USA, right when you enter the park. The Haunted Mansion has been open at Disneyland since 1969. However, it took Imagineers 15 years to develop this ride. One of the major conflicts in developing the ride was if it should be more silly or more scary. The gallery, or Ghoulery, features concept art that explores the evolution of the Haunted Mansion design from a walkthrough attraction at the top of Main Street, USA, to a museum of the weird, to the ride as we know it today. You can see how the Imagineers worked with each other to give the Haunted Mansion its signature grim grinning style. The gallery starts with some sketches by Imagineer Ken Anderson, who created lots of spooky concepts for the mansion, including all of these. It also features one of my favorites, the Candleman. This was sketched by Rolly Crump, and here are some more of Ken Anderson's designs, including the phantom face that was meant to spook guests. The graveyard scene as we know it today has some pop-up ghosts that appear suddenly behind the tombstones, and this was one of the original designs, a one-eyed cat by Imagineer X Intencio, and these floating banshee heads helped inspire the pop-up ghosts we have today. And here is a Ken Anderson graveyard concept of the spooky atmospheres juxtaposed by the casual conversation between the grim grinning ghost. And here is a moody scene by Dwayne Alt, which shows quaking tombstones with Spanish moss to indicate the spooky atmosphere of the Haunted Mansion. Here is an early concept for the Bride of the Mansion done by Mark Davis, and here are a few characters done by Ken Anderson. The first is the Raven, who ended up in the mansion, and another one is the murderous sea captain, Captain Gore, who didn't actually end up in the mansion. In our next set of artwork, we have a ghostly grandmother in a rocking chair. We also have a concept for an organist who is a part of a full ghostly band, but in the attraction, he is actually a solo act. And we also have an early concept of a ghostly medium who eventually is the one who inspired the idea for Madame Leota, who is one of my personal favorites. This is a Ken Anderson concept for a floating ghost head, which eventually is kind of used by Madame Leota. And this is one by X Atencio, which shows a spirit appearing inside of a crystal vessel. In this piece, you can see Ken Anderson illustrating the concept of a claustrophobic atmosphere, and the next one is a Rolly Crump piece where you can definitely see where the evolution of the Haunted Mansion famous wallpaper started. This is a early concept by X Atencio for the first scene during the Doom Buggy portion of your journey, where a skeleton is trying to push a casket lid from the inside. A prop that they had at this exhibit was the mansion's caretaker bust, and also his dog, a little mini of his dog. They also had some miniatures of some of the people from the graveyard, which were cute to see in their little silly positions that are part of the mansion's humor side. Here are two different versions of the portrait hallway. The top one is by Ken Anderson, and this was more about when the attraction was going to be a guided tour, and the bottom one is by Mark Davis, and this has more things that are actually in the attraction, including the bust with the eyes that follow you. Here is a concept for the changing portrait by Mark Davis. The pictures in the Haunted Mansion portrait hallways, of course, transform from normal seeming subjects to sinister scenes. The piece on the top left is actually the first concept art for the mansion, and an early concept for the attraction was that it was placed at the outskirts of a small town on Main Street. And right here you can see Ken Anderson's visual for the mansion as a decaying estate. One thing that actually changed from these concepts to reality was Walt Disney wanted the mansion to have a nice, clean, unspoiled exterior. So instead of all these spooky exteriors, they changed it to what we have today. And also the weather vane changed from a hissing cat to a sailing ship, which is what we have today. I would have really preferred the hissing cat myself, as you can see here. Here are some more miniatures of the 999 ghosts, including the bride and the hitchhiking ghost. I really loved this exhibit and learning quite a bit more about the Haunted Mansion that I didn't know, and I hope that they continue to bring amazing stuff like this to the parks.